Hello everybody and welcome to our ICCA Global Kickoff today, live from the UK. It's wonderful to see you virtually and to be here to discuss the launch, the really exciting launch this year of our 59th Annual Congress, which will be hosted in the fabulous city of Kaohsiung. Of course, these are times unlike any other that we've been through as industry leaders, and so, of course, ICCA's Congress will be unlike any other. However, I'm really excited about the programme that we are launching today, and from the 22nd of September we have 6 weeks of detailed programming, interaction between ICCA regions, ICCA sectors, and our stakeholders, the clients we serve, our international association community. And that programme of events will involve detailed discussions and debate around the pathway both on the road to Kaohsiung, but beyond Kaohsiung and to the future of our industry. And key to all of this will be the culmination of the gathering together of that knowledge in what we have termed the Kaohsiung Protocol. And we will discuss that today and explain a little bit more about the thinking. So these are very exciting times, but of course we do need assistance to take us through that journey, and I'm delighted today to welcome Robert Corran, curator of the Iceberg, who is going to lead us through today's proceedings and also work us through that 6-week programme from September. Robert, to you.
James, thank you very much indeed. The Iceberg exists to celebrate the legacies of business events and what legacies we're going to have out of the 59th ICCA Congress. It's my pleasure to be your host through the course of this. Back at the end of July, ICCA opened up registration for the Congress. Billed as a global hybrid experience, Kaohsiung remains the official event destination, but for those unable to attend in person because of the pandemic, there are now 7 regional satellite locations. Latin and North America are holding their events online, plus Cape Town in South Africa, Kuching in Sarawak, Malaysia, Luxembourg in Luxembourg, Malaga on the Costa del Sol in Spain's Andalusia, and Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Individually and together, all these regional destinations will connect and explore new ideas, new formats and technologies under the theme Transforming Global Events Together. The ICCA community will also combine efforts to create something called the Kaohsiung Protocol, as we've heard. This will be a framework identifying major trends and strategies and help the international meetings industry to thrive now and into the future. At the Iceberg, we celebrate meetings, events and legacies, and nothing like setting your legacy goals right up front. Now, all virtual events should be made as interactive as possible, so quite a few questions have already been submitted in advance. We're going to be joined later on by a number of very key industry journalists, but we would also very much like to hear from you. Please feel free to ask us a question live. This is how you do it. We have a QR code if you're able to scan that, and feel free to just ask a question on the back of that. Also, you can join us at slido.com using the hashtag ICCA. We'd love to hear from you. Now, James, it was 2 years ago at the 57th ICCA Congress that you were elected president. You were back on stage in Houston last year, and now we're in a TV studio. This is a very different experience. Give us a sense of how ICCA came to take that desperately scary decision to pivot, recreate the experience as a virtual event, a hybrid event, a decision, of course, that so many ICCA members have also had to take through the course of this year.
Well, it's a great question, Robert. And in fact, the decision on this was taken as early as March this year. The Monetary and Finance Committee of the board were gathered in Paris for our spring meeting, where we were considering the future forecast for this year and all the relevant financial implications. One of those, of course, was what will happen with this year's Congress. And I was very clear in my mind that, as I said when I stood for president, the ICCA Congress should be a beacon of excellence that we all aspire to attend, and it's vital that ICCA continues to run its Congress this year despite the circumstances that we now find ourselves in. So we had a debate, a very open debate around what will and what can this Congress look like. It was clear this would be, as I said in my opening comments, unlike any Congress we have staged before. But also, I felt, and I know my colleagues on the board felt, we needed to be brave. We needed to show leadership and demonstrate that events, both face-to-face and in the new digital format, can be harmonized and can be brought together in a way that allows its stakeholder community to do what it does best and what it loves to do: knowledge sharing, networking, and that building of trust and business relationships. So that was, if you like, the foundation of the thought process for why we decided at that meeting Kaohsiung will go ahead in some format. There will be face-to-face, but we do need now to plan for an element of digital, because even at the start of March, we were unclear as to how the pandemic would unfold. It has clearly developed significantly since then. So we're pleased that we, at that time, took the decision that we took, and we are now, and my colleagues today will explain more, we're now at that stage where we are launched. We have an amazing program of education, some speakers beyond which I could not have dreamed have been secured for this event. And here we are, ready to serve our ICCA members with the opportunity, in particular, however they are able to join, whether it's digitally, face-to-face, or even face-to-face in Kaohsiung, which is our hub, our main hub, they can join and gain the advantage of that knowledge sharing and education. Very exciting times.
Well, let's hear something about some of that execution. And joining us now remotely is ICCA board member Greg Talley. Greg is president and CEO of Talley Management Group. He's personally managed hundreds of events around the world, and he consults, speaks and writes on association and event management, also popping up with much wisdom on the occasional video that I get to post on the iceberg. Greg, welcome. Tell us how you approached the format of this very different ICCA Congress, and what did you feel it had to contain?
Thanks, Robert, and it's great to be with everyone. You know, I think we're all going to remember what was our last meeting, what was our last trip. And for me, it was that meeting in Paris. That was my last international trip, last opportunity to see colleagues from around the world, literally face to face. So I think all of us have that moment in time now pegged. But I also still have the picture of the whiteboard from that conversation that James just mentioned, where we put down really what were some of the key principles that we're going to, as we conceptualized what this needed to be. And I think one of the key things was, as kind of providers and owners of live events, we had to have a live event. And for us, that clearly then immediately translated into a hybrid event, because we didn't know what we were going to be able to do in November, but we knew that it had to have a live component. And then, as James said, we quickly knew it also clearly was going to have to be digital, to allow for the maximum engagement of our members. And that became quickly one of our key principles. So we had to ensure that we were going to maximize the ability of members to participate in the way they felt most comfortable. Because the other thing that I think played into this is our theme was perfect. We might say a little too perfect as we look at it now today. Literally, so many aspects of our world are transforming. And so we saw this as an opportunity to really show a case study that could kind of throw open the curtains for everybody to see. We're going on a journey together to try something that we haven't done before, that so many in our industry are just learning to do. And it had to be interactive, as interactive as it could be, because that's what our members value. The education, as James talked about, had to be higher than ever, and really help us as an industry wrap our heads around where were we going. So those all became key aspects to this, while of course maintaining for our primary sponsor and host destination, Kaohsiung. Their presence in everything that we do, just as if all of us were going to be in Kaohsiung. So we're going to get to experience this together. One of the other key things that became really important for us from the get-go was that this needed to be client-centric. We had to put our customers in the middle of the whole dialogue we're going to be talking about what's happening for the future of our industry. And that's really how we starting to think about the Kaohsiung Protocol. It really has been an iterative process to understand what we wanted was going to be based on research and a better understanding of how was the world of our clients changing, and therefore what did that mean for all of us in the supply chain that are supporting the events that our clients put on. So we had a lot of these principles that then we needed to figure out how do we make that happen. And it takes a village, and in this case, probably even more than that. But we quickly realized we couldn't do this ourselves. We needed help, and we went out to a number of ICCA members to really talk about who had the capacity, the ability to literally jump in and jump off with us, and we didn't know what we were jumping into, to be sure. And after a couple of discussions with various members, quickly settled on our colleagues at Merit's Global Events. And the very first conversation I had with Ben, he said, I get it. We're in, and we started riffing on what this could look like and where we could go with this, which really started to get all of us more excited because we saw the potential and need to literally deconstruct our event and put it back together, but using some design principles, and that's what Merit's and their team at Global Events have taken us through. So it's been a really exciting process. It's starting to roll out now with greater clarity for our members and our stakeholders. But I'm tremendously excited about what we've accomplished with our colleagues at ICCA team, with our production partners. It has been a real team effort, and I can't wait to start to unfold this for everybody.
It's a brave new world for everyone, isn't it, Greg? As you've heard, Merit's Global Events is collaborating on the format design for this 59th ICCA Congress. So joining us now from Merit's is Enterprise Vice President, Global and Industry Presence, Ben Goodedge. Ben spent a career in meetings and events all over the world, organising meetings and events. Ben, welcome. Give us a sense of that collaboration that Greg was just telling us about and how it's affected the planning of the Congress.
Well, I think exciting. Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, maybe even good evening to some people. We're totally excited to be part of this, and excitement seems to be the word that we're using. We got involved, Merit's Global Events and Merit Global Events Design Studio got involved. Proud to be involved in this really bold and brave exercise, because James has already referred to it, and Greg too. These are uncharted territories for much of what is being done at the moment. We partner ourselves with GIS, which is the company that is hosting the event in Kaohsiung, so that's where the relationship lies. And then we have a very strong relationship with DRPG as well, who are hosting us today in the studios in the United Kingdom. So it's a network of people that know each other well and hoping to design something which is engaging, exciting, and has the future in mind. As we all know, ICCA is the leading global association in the field of international meetings and events, and especially association meetings. Engagement is critical to that. Engagement with the members, engagement with the clients, engagement with the wider stakeholder community, and the advocacy that goes with that. One of the things that was very early on done in a design lab, which we had with an ICCA board task force and with later on with the ICCA staff, really with a village to get involved, was to, like Greg said, deconstruct the meeting. And one thing that we realized very quickly on, that one of the things that we needed to do is to engage with the community as long and as deep as we could, which is why now we have this, what we call a 6-week program. But actually it runs on from there. because everything that is being done at the moment is being documented, and also everything that is being done in the digital events that are coming up in September and October, the touch points there. The actual live events in the hub locations and in the spokes, if you like, so the hub location of Kaohsiung and then the spoke locations that Robert mentioned earlier on, all of that will be available after the Congress. So there is a huge amount of data and information and knowledge, and indeed knowledge sharing that can go on during the event. What is also really critical for the event as we're designing the process is to tell the stories that people are going through at the moment. So storytelling will be an important component of the weeks that are coming up. The engagement in all of this, we're experimenting with tools, we're trying to create something which will give you as a participant, as a delegate, as somebody who takes part in the event, as a member of ICCA, as much value as we can. And we want to be a light in this very, very difficult time. James mentioned in March we didn't know what was going to happen, and actually the reality is that we don't know what's going to happen at the end of in November as well, and even at the end of the year. We're looking into something which is a very, very difficult time for our industry, and this is when we need to get together. I think one of the other things that I would say is that we're trying to align to ICCA's brand, which is a very strong brand and has a very dedicated community of members. People want to be part of this, and the addition of the client community as part of that community, the international associations, is going to be critical. So the business outcomes that this event will have for the individual members and the impressions that you will have are hopefully going to be extremely positive. The program is strong. The program is aligned to the business objectives of ICCA. You, as you're attending events in the different locations live, you need to feel safe, you need to feel secure, and you need to feel comfortable. But you also need to be feeling safe and comfortable as you're taking part in the digital component of this. What we're trying to create is something that will be exceptional, and we're hoping that you can engage as much as you can. And I'm looking forward to it.
Ben, thank you so very much indeed. Questions already coming in for our panel. I'd like to remind you that there is a QR code you can scan to ask questions. If you'd like to do that, please, or indeed go onto the website slido.com using the hashtag ICCA, and you can ask questions via that method as well. Senthil Gopinath is, of course, ICCA CEO, appointed last year after 18 years working within ICCA member organisations, and also a spell as Regional Director of ICCA Middle East. Senthil, how is ICCA's membership getting mobilised on this road to Kaohsiung, as you've been calling it?
Thank you, Robert. As mentioned by my colleagues, this has been a very challenging time. We were trying to bring our global community, the ICCA family, together. So we did a thought process. How do we do that? Most importantly, we need to look at a global approach, because ICCA has membership in over 100 countries. We have over 1,100 members. So we want to engage all our members digitally and face-to-face where it's possible, so that they can join comfortably following the safety protocols. So one of the hugest events in ICCA history has been put together, the hybrid format. Having said that, this is one step further from hybrid format, where we have regional hubs in all continents. Most importantly, our plan was we need to bring the ICCA family together, and how do we talk to them about new education formats, what's the future of the meetings industry, and how they can network first face-to-face comfortably wherever possible. So that's how the thought process was put together. And our members are amazingly supporting this concept. They're really interested to see whether from their home, their offices, or even through regional hubs, they would like to come over by taking a train, or even if they can't fly, drive through, come to the hubs and learn. And most importantly, our network with their peers within the industry. So the whole thing is all about how do we communicate, how do we collaborate. Those are the two fundamentals. ICCA decided to put this hybrid format together, and then we started our planning, and today where we are. It's a very ambitious plan, because never in the history where any meetings industry association have combined hybrid format along with face-to-face. So we have embarked on that with great support from global expertise in overseas from the different ICCA membership and from great volunteers outside ICCA membership, and also the internal ICCA team has been putting this concept with hours and hours of working. One of the most other important factors I would like to emphasize here, the flexible format. We know everybody's budgets are in a most difficult time, but having said that, we understand, we are empathetic towards that. We created a really flexible and adaptable format in terms of registration. Till the last day, any of the ICCA members can either upgrade or downgrade their membership, the registration fees. So they could decide to go to a hub, and eventually they decide due to their health protocols, they need to do a digital or virtually, they need to join the ICCA Congress, yet they can do. We also promote, looking forward to largest number as possible in our Congress host destination, Kaohsiung. Again, given the fact how November would be, because it's again, times are changing very rapidly. So based on that, we are looking forward there again to see, and there is a fantastic program put together by our team in the host team in Kaohsiung. So there are many aspects together. One of the important aspects I'd like to emphasize is the theme of the Congress is all about coming together. That's all about ICCA family. We wanted to bring our delegates, our members together, learn and understand what the future meeting space is all about, and most importantly, share your best practices. Because in the last couple of many months, we all have been facing different challenges in our own cities and our countries, but most importantly, we are one family. So through this exercise, what we are trying to do through ICCA Congress, share the best practices so that the reopening and the recovery can be achieved jointly and in a collaborative way. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you either virtually or through a regional hub or in Kaohsiung. This Congress is all about value for money. So invest in education and networking. We all need that for the future. Thank you very much.
Of course, ICCA has opened up its community to association executives this year. Ksenia Poller is ICCA's Director of Association Relations, indeed the person that many of you will have contacted in attending Congress this year. Ksenia, this is a broader community, isn't it, this year?
It is, and to say it has been an exciting year is an understatement. We couldn't have opened up the ICCA community at a better time to associations with the launch of the association community in January, because we had cleared the path for us as part of the Congress organizing committees to really have associations as integral part of our Congress journey. And as all my predecessors have already alluded, James and Greg and Ben, associations are at the key of our preparations for the Congress in terms of content, in terms of networking opportunities, in terms of knowledge sharing among associations, as well as with our members to really gauge the challenges they are facing and see how can we move further and transform those association meetings for the future. And associations are really delighted to be on this journey with us because, as we've been saying, this is an experiment. These are uncharted territories, and associations can really see how this is evolving from the get-go. They can learn from our own experience. They are part of this journey. They can see what works for them, what not, and then they can apply that in their own meetings in the future. So it's been really a great element to have them as part of this journey and have their input in what we are working towards in the Kaohsiung Protocol.
Ksenia, thank you so very much indeed. Let me ask you, James, some of what we were going to talk to Cecile about, and we see how difficult sometimes live virtual events can be. This is about getting the community excited, and the community is mobilising at the moment, isn't it?
Very much so, and I think the opportunity that this year's Congress presents is going to build excitement. I do encourage now, after today, for ICCA members to look at the program, to consider how best they would feel participation this year would work for them. The value proposition, as I said, and we perhaps come on to some of the content in due course today, but the value proposition I think is so strong, the educational content will be exceptional, and I think it is time for ICCA members to begin to gather. There will be elements of face-to-face, and the opportunity at the various, Ben referred there to the hub in Kaohsiung and then the spokes around the world where both ICCA members and association executives will gather together, will be an amazing experience. And I think it's for us as ICCA members to gather together to bring together the ICCA community and, as I say, those associations that we serve, to really ramp up the debate and build to what will be extremely exciting, the main output of our event, the Kaohsiung Protocol.
Let me remind you that you can still send questions in. There's a QR code to scan. Please feel free to try scanning that and send us a question. Also, you can go on slido.com with the hashtag ICCA to send us a question. I see lots and lots of questions already coming in. But first of all, let's go to our journalists. We have some very key industry players. Let's start with Karen Yu, who's group editor at TTG Asia Media, working directly across a number of TTG titles. All of our journalists are going to get 2 questions each. Karen, your first question.
Thank you for having me. What new audience engagement and business opportunities will this new hub and spoke and hybrid format of the 2020 Congress bring to ICCA, besides giving the association access to people who are usually unable to attend the annual Congress?
I think, James, you'll take that.
Sorry, could you just repeat the question again, if I may? I just missed part of it, sorry.
What new audience engagement and business opportunities will this new format, this hub and spoke hybrid format of the 2020 Congress bring to ICCA, besides giving you the access to people who usually aren't able to attend the annual Congress?
I think for me, it's the very nature of the hybrid Congress that is going to allow connectivity with a wider audience than we've ever been able to before. As I said in some of my opening comments, the fact that we normally gather for 3 to 4 days in one place, have a great congress, great education, and make our new connections, is this year going to be elongated. So if you like, the ROI delivered for all members, whether it's of the community, whether it's ICCA members or ICCA Association community members, the length of that dialogue and the much more structured and deep dialogue and discussions that will happen through the digital webinars and the opportunity for actual face-to-face when we arrive in Kaohsiung will mean that the ICCA Congress gives a greater, the lifetime, if you like, of the Congress is extended significantly. And as Ben said earlier, beyond the Congress itself, it will allow, I believe, better opportunity for further follow-ups. And in fact, we will be using the Kaohsiung Protocol as part of our ongoing pathway over the 12 months after this year's Congress, when we arrive at our Congress in 2021. So this is a game changer for ICCA and a real opportunity, and I think the value for us as members will be that much greater deepening of the relationships with our association clients.
I wonder if Greg wanted to chime in here.
Yeah, I think one of the other aspects, Karen, thanks for the question, is we also have intentionally built out the platform that we're going to be using to host the entire event, where we've built in some very specific opportunities for individuals to connect one-on-one So we've really been intentional about saying, how do we ensure that there's opportunities for people to do what we do all the time when we're at live events? How do we connect with individuals? How do we identify certain people that, hey, this is someone I'd like to arrange to have a private conversation with, or a virtual meeting, if you will. So we have built in a number of very specific ways on the platform for our delegates to connect with each other, to really help drive that home, right? In terms of, okay, we're learning together, we're going to be in some situations where we will be live and virtual, but we wanted to be really sure that we could help them connect across space and time on our platform, which is the other benefit of having the platform up and available for the entire 6 to 8 week time period, that we think actually creates more value for our members and participants than ever before, because of kind of breaking down the time and space barriers for this Congress.
Karen, you had a second question, which I think is something that everybody involved in virtual and hybrid meetings at the moment is thinking about.
Yeah, so one of the biggest appeal of ICCA Congresses is the opportunity to meet and interact with global colleagues. But these regional hubs won't allow this opportunity. So how will ICCA get around this physical disconnect of its global networking functions through this hybrid format?
And perhaps you can take this. How do we network in a virtual space?
So it's really a critical point that everybody is trying to address, and networking is at the heart of a professional association and definitely at the heart of what ICCA is. The human element we are missing at the moment, but what we're trying to do, and the answers to the previous question have already said that, we're trying to experiment with a number of tools on interaction so that personal connections can still be made, but we'll be missing this year of all being together in the same location, which is really unfortunate. But it gives us an extended possibility, and that's why also the regional hubs were chosen at the point that the regional hubs were put in place. We're trying to bring together as many people who want to get together in the regional location that they might be able to travel to. And for some people that will be easy, and for other people that will be difficult. But it's really about engaging as much as possible as we can. The one-on-one connections we're still trying to stimulate, and we will be stimulating those through the different tools and the different participation components. There will be a crowd sourcing component in the sector weeks that we're creating. So we will try to make as much of the disconnected people to connect. And that's going to be the big challenge for the future. But it's also a challenge that we happily try and do something about. We'll do our very best to connect those who are registered for the event and those are part of the event as much as we can, because I think that that's our responsibility. But of course, people need to engage themselves as well. So again, I would encourage everybody to take us as good part of the event as we can, and as active part as we can.
Karen, did you want any comeback on that?
I'm okay with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your question. Ben, thank you very much for your answers. I see we have Cecile back online.
ICCA being a global organization, it's vital ICCA to harmonize between destinations and the association. So we, as a global entity, we are trying to achieve that. In the past, we used to achieve through face-to-face by bringing these communities together, where they look for knowledge, investment, and expertise. But now, with the current challenging times, what we are doing, we are using all measures and tools to bring these two communities together through digital format, and even building regional hubs, so that they could come in jointly and share knowledge, expertise, and look at how they can be ready for the future. The Kaohsiung Protocol is all about that. It'll encompass these elements, which can be studied by both the communities to see how they could be prepared, and ICCA be the platform for that, for them to achieve such objectives.
Joining us also is JT Long, Content Chief at Smart Meetings. Her Twitter account tells me that she is a question asker at large, a storyteller at heart. So JT, please either ask us a question or tell us a story.
Hello, thank you for having me here. So many stories. So my question is, as a case study for transforming global events, how are you ensuring that sponsors are seeing value in the hybrid format?
Well, James, perhaps you can take this for us. Engaging attendees and sponsors, and do they feel part of a virtual event in the same way they feel part of an in-person event?
I think this is one of the big challenges for us, and that's why the team at Maritz have been working with us specifically, and Ben referenced this in his previous comments. For me, this is why we have built this this pathway, this road to Kaohsiung, because generally when you travel a road, you have the opportunity to meet people on the way. And that is, I believe, what we are creating. So that road, that pathway, that creation of potential collisions will build the engagement of the attendees. And as we take that road, there will be opportunities to meet, to discuss business and discuss opportunity in advance. And of course, importantly for sponsors and their ability to be linked in with our community, I think this multi-spoke, the hub and spoke approach gives a greater outreach than ever before for our potential sponsors and partners. And for that reason, this length of the programming, the very detailed interconnection with both sectors, regions of the ICCA membership, and then the association community will deepen the engagement and give our sponsors and supporters greater opportunity to reach more people than ever before.
Greg, I think, wanted to add to that on sponsors.
Yeah, so it's such a great question, JT, because this is in fact probably one of the single biggest issues for association and event owners is how do we engage now with our sponsor community in this new environment? And it really takes a much deeper level of communication, dialogue, and walking through with sponsors what the opportunities are, how they're different, but actually how they can capitalize on the new opportunities that are offered through this now hybrid mix that we and many others are doing. So it really takes kind of stepping back, completely re-looking at your sponsor package and understanding what your sponsors are looking for, and then really having that one-on-one conversation about let's talk about what you want to accomplish and how we can best do that in this whole new scenario. The great part is we have a lot more tools to play with in a hybrid situation, and again, over a 6 to 8 week process. So we are very lucky that as we have always had, very strong sponsor support from the ICCA community of folks who engage with us and have historically engaged with us. And you'll see on the website how many have continued to be engaged, and then new folks are coming to the table. But for those of us who run events, I can tell you this is one of the areas where we're probably spending the most amount of time to really help our sponsors understand and then ensure that we can deliver on what we're promising. So this and monetization are probably the two biggest issues that event owners are dealing with. So that's the steps we've taken, and I think we can see the results based on the folks who have jumped in the pool with us and are going to be on this journey with us.
Greg, thank you. JT had a second question that was something I was also wondering.
Well, really, I wanted to talk about one of the benefits is this expanded audience. And how are you changing your content to fit this larger, broader, more diverse audience?
And indeed, the time zones that it all involves. Ksenia, perhaps you could take this.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, JT, for the question. What we have done while designing the concept of the Congress program itself for the duration of the Kaohsiung program, we have tried to encompass as many time zones as possible with the main program, which is in Kaohsiung, the afternoon time. So there it will be 4 hours of live broadcast, which then is locally available through the hubs. as well as online. So everybody who wants to follow the Kaohsiung program can in real time. So this is where all our really signature events are taking place as part of the program. And then beyond that, you can always watch that on demand as well if you have missed it. For instance, the Americas will be in a different time zone, so they will watch that part on demand. And then outside of the main program within Kaohsiung, each hub will have a local program, which the Congress Education Committee is working with every hub to really design this for the members and associations in the region.
Ksenia, thank you very much indeed. JT, did you want to come back on anything there?
Nope, that is a great answer.
Thank you very much indeed. We look forward to the stories you tell on the back of this. Next up is a very close friend of the iceberg, Cecile Cox. Cecile is managing partner and founder of Boardroom magazine, the best resource for associations according to its logo. And I can tell you, a very thrilling read on my reading list every edition of our newsletter at the iceberg. Cecile, your first question.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here in this on this platform. Being an association magazine, my questions are, of course, related to associations. So my first question is concerning the association community. Can you let us know, as you launched it this year, how many participants you have up till now, and how many of those have registered to the Congress? And another question is, how do you engage to those associations that are not as yet part of your community?
I think that has to go straight to Ksenia.
I think so.
Yes, thank you, Cecile, for the question. I knew this was going to come from you. So when we started building the path to the association community launch, we were engaging with a large number of associations, which were a circle we called verified associations. So when we launched, all the activities and all the strategy in place was to really convert those key people, those key associations into the community. And we started off really well. We are at the moment, we have 40 associations within the association community, and all our members can see a list of those in their My ICCA section. The verified associations are still also identifiable in our database, as members probably know. So when COVID hit, we had a good base already with the verified associations as well as the association community to really transform our engagement very quickly. So as early as March, we have managed to put on some webinars for them where they could really exchange with their peers first what the main challenges were, because for them it very quickly became obvious that all the spring annual meetings were being postponed and canceled, so their main incomes were gone. So that was a platform where ICCA could really help them engage with each other, and then transition to letting our members know what the challenges are and bringing members in to help them on this path. Out of those 40 associations, they have all been offered a free registration for the ICCA Congress, and already 50% have registered taking up on this. And as I said earlier, they are really on the journey with us. They are really so engaged. They want to be part of this. However, our aim is really to have a much, much larger association audience with us on this journey. We are working with all the verified associations to actually also join. Plus, with every single hub, we have identified associations to join, if nothing else, preferably in person, of course, but if nothing else, then virtually, and join that hub program online.
Cecile, you had another question to follow up.
Yes, indeed. again, relating to associations, of course. Do you have a special stream for associations during the event? What's in it for them? And as an example, I would like to take the Incredible Impacts program that you managed together with Best Cities. Have you received a lot of applications this year? And how will this award and the applicants be showcased at the Congress?
Absolute favourite of the iceberg as well. Incredible Impacts, Ksenia.
Thank you, Cecile. And let me try and answer all your questions because it's quite multi-layered. There is definitely, as I already said, and everybody mentioned, associations are at the core. So we have a dedicated content which is specifically designed for associations, in particular during the topic weeks. So after the launch on the 22nd of September, we are having the week after, starting on the 28th of September, 3 weeks of topic weeks, which are then each of the weeks has discussions within those topics per sector, and the associations are one of the sectors. So every Monday within those 3-week periods, we'll have associations who have their own dedicated stream of sessions. And of course, they are also part of any of the other education content we are building, because they are Am I still here? Can you still hear me? Perfect. So they are part of the entire content as well. For the Incredible Impacts, it is a great pleasure to actually say we have had the highest number of applications ever. We had 26 applications. We are finalizing the winners, and the winners will be announced on the 22nd of September during the live broadcast. But we are not staying there. Within the platform, we have a specially dedicated zone, which is the Incredible Impact Zone. So all those winners will be showcased there, but also all the other submissions, we will be running with Best Cities a series of live chats, which will be recorded and then posted in that zone as well. And we have discussed with Best Cities also another initiative, and are offering a free registration to attend the Congress online for all submissions to the who have applied for the Incredible Impacts grant.
Ksenia, thank you very much indeed. Cecile, did you want to come back on anything there?
I have another question, if I may.
Oh,
yeah?
Go on, please.
It's as the meetings world is changing, do you foresee that these changes will have an impact on the criteria of the, for example, Incredible Impacts program?
Ksenia.
So I have to say, since we started the Incredible Impacts program altogether, we have been evolving and changing it and improving on it yearly, just to adapt to all what is happening around us. So we are partnering with Best Cities on this, and we are in continuous conversations. So I'm sure we will be reevaluating, as we do every year with them, what the path and what the future will look like. So I'm sure we will adjust with them to adapt to the new environment.
Ksenia, thank you very much indeed. At the Iceberg, we're always amazed at how diverse some of those legacies from Incredible Impacts are. Cecile, thank you very much indeed. Lovely to see you here. Let's get to some of your questions, and let me just remind you that we have this QR code that you can scan to ask questions if you want to. You can also go to slido.com and use the hashtag ICCA. Let me go to, first of all, to a couple of questions that we've actually received in advance. And let's start with this. Can you explain the overall programming, how the digital audiences and the regional hubs are able to see each other's programs? So will the hubs have their own face-to-face program? This is just a sort of general question as to how it overlaps. Perhaps one for Greg? Greg?
Sorry, Robert, you threw that to me?
Just how are the different hubs seeing each other's programs? Just give us a sense of how the overlap between the global broadcast and how different hubs are seeing each other's programs.
Sure. Benya mentioned how this is working in space and time, but absolutely, while we're doing global broadcasts, we will be pulling in the regional hub audiences as part of the dialogue and as part of the interaction that'll happen during those global broadcast times. And then, as Ben mentioned, the whole plan is to archive and have all of this content available for attendees, no matter which way they're participating. They're going to be able to plug back in and have available any and all of that content. So that's how we're kind of cross-pollinating the entire globe.
Ben, I'm sure you want to come back on that.
Yeah, I just want to add to that because I think, and James has mentioned it before, but I really have to commend what both the Kaohsiung organizing committee is doing and then what the hubs are doing in terms of the programming, because I think you'll be happily amazed by some of the speakers that are being brought together. And these are, this will be a first time that we can create almost like a mesh of global contributions. And I think you will like what you see. And being able to extend all of that on the platform that's being built over a period of time will bring exceptional value again. And that's really what all of this is about. It's about learnings of this horrible period. It's about learnings into the future, but it's really about looking at what the future might bring and how our industry collectively is being affected. So,
thank you, Ben. Next up, are there any special speakers, James, or features that we can expect for the live portion of the November programme from Kaohsiung?
That's a great question, and thank you for whoever sent that through. I have to say, I mentioned earlier my excitement about some of the speakers that we're having and have secured. Two highlights for me, I would say, on the 22nd of September, we have Jean-Pierre Lacombe from the World Bank. These are high-end speakers of the highest order, and we're excited about these opportunities. And then, furthermore, in the main programme in Kaohsiung, Bob Bajan, who's corporate vice president at Microsoft, is going to be giving a keynote and delivering information as to how Microsoft are seeing the whole change in education and digitization that they've seen since the start of the pandemic. So that gives you a sense of the quality of speakers that have been secured. And as I say, that's why I believe this is an opportunity to get the best value possible, and why we believe the Congress will provide value, great value to all of our members, whether they're attending digitally in one of the spoke hubs or the main event in Kaohsiung.
And some of these questions, of course, overlap with things we've already said, but some of them steer it into slightly different areas. Why have you chosen to create this as a week-long program and not just have the Congress in Kaohsiung with a broadcast over the world?
I think it's because we felt we needed to personalise the event and allow, I said it at the start, allow each of our members to be involved in a way that suits their circumstances. And Ksenia mentioned about the time zones as well. The fact that we are located in Kaohsiung in that particular time zone puts certain restrictions on other regions, and so by allowing the elongation of the event around this particular program will mean wherever you are, whatever your circumstances in the as an ICCA member, you will be able to get the maximum content.
Greg, do you want to add to that?
No, I think he indicated, James covered that perfectly. The idea was really once we take away the space and time constraints, that actually allows us to get more programming, allows us to engage more people across the platform, and ultimately a richer experience for everybody. And again, this is a journey. Everyone's going to have a chance to kind of learn with us about what's going to work and what's not going to work, and that's what we're excited about, both for our association partners and for every member that's a supplier into the association event community, to really understand what's this new world look like and how do we better meet the needs of our clients?
Thank you very much, Greg. Somebody is asking, how did ICCA decide what to charge for the virtual experience? At this point in time, it's difficult to justify expenditure within my organization. The questioner asks, can you help me make some of the arguments to my bosses?
That's a really good question. Members will note, if you visit the website, we have an early bird registration deadline of the end of September. I've already taken advantage of that myself, so I do encourage you to look at the website, see the scaling of the fees. But it was clear at the outset we wouldn't be able to charge what we would normally charge for an ICCA Congress, and if you do look at those fee levels, they are a significant reduction in what we would normally charge. But I do believe, and Greg alluded to it, and Ben as well in their earlier comments, the quality of what we will learn from this, the ability to be part of this pathway and the creation of the Kaohsiung Protocol, I think will be invaluable. And personally, I've named a couple of speakers there. As members see the quality of the speakers and the educational learning that they will gain from those speakers in preparing their businesses now, their organizations now, and for the immediate future as we begin our recovery, they will see the true value. I think the pricing points are as appropriate as we could make them, and we hope as many ICCA members as can take advantage of that opportunity.
Somebody is also asking about registration count. Are you up to the sort of numbers you were expecting? I'll ask Ksenia, perhaps. What can you tell me? What can I tempt you to tell me?
The numbers are coming in, and as we see, the more programming we put on, the more registrations are starting to come in. It really shows that the trends are changing when people are registering. People are really waiting now to see, okay, is this something I want to spend time on? And I think that's really in line with one of the new trends, which may even come out of the Kaohsiung Protocol in terms of lead time of registrations.
Ksenia, thank you very much indeed. Somebody's also asking about the two European hubs, James. What was the thinking there, having two hubs in Europe and not centering on one, if people can attend that particular location?
Okay, it's another great, these are all great questions. The ICCA's a global community. We needed to have outreach in as many of our destinations as possible. With Europe, we do have an even greater centering of membership, and therefore it was felt that the ability to split Europe into more of a southern region and to a northern region hub would be appropriate. There are abilities, of course, if you look at Luxembourg, the ability for some of our members to drive or take the train if they don't feel that flying is the right way for them. So the mixture of those two hubs actually we feel was highly appropriate, and will allow as many members from different parts of the European community to attend either one of those of their choice.
Let me follow up with a question that's very similar to that, perhaps for Ben or Greg, whoever wants to take it. What are the sources of information to evaluate the travel risk between one country to another? I mean, Vietnam to Kaohsiung or Italy to Luxembourg.
Well, clearly that is a moving target, and literally is changing every day, and every government is making their own decisions. So the most we can share with everyone is what are the current government rules and regulations relative to travel and health and safety, and then every individual is going to have to make their own assessment along that line. But really, it's all about the government regulations right now, And as we know, this is a moving target. And so it's one reason we designed the program and the registration process to be as flexible as possible, recognizing we weren't going to be in control of that aspect, but making sure our attendees had the information and the control they needed to figure out how they wanted to participate.
James, perhaps as a legacy journalist, what do you consider the success will be out of the conference, and what are you looking out of this Kaohsiung protocol? What's that for?
For me, and I think Greg touched on it earlier, this we had to be brave, and we had to, I believe, show leadership. So that as a community we were able to demonstrate what the future may look like. And that is where the bringing together of all the knowledge that we've touched on today, that will be built over the 6-week journey, will be pulled together in a document that can then be shared. It can evolve over the coming months after Kaohsiung, and it will allow us to have a tangible result and a tangible pathway that we all share as ICCA members going forward. So for me, when we sat down in March, it was clear to me, and which is why I brought it to the board, it was clear that this couldn't be business as usual, and we needed to have a particular outcome, and that is where the Kaohsiung Protocol will pull together this entire journey and the entire community.
Greg, very quickly,
Robert,
I see you're
could
nodding.
I build on that? Yeah, if I could build on that, I'd love to, because James is right. This has really been an iterative process, but it's also been key to our thinking. And that was really going to be, we couldn't just make it a statement, right? Our industry has lots of statements. We needed actual actions, we needed research, and we needed a new understanding from our clients as to what was happening in their world, because ultimately that's who we exist to serve. So the Kaohsiung Protocol has really evolved into a framework, and we've engaged the folks with Next Factor MMGY to do original research for us with the client event owners to tell us what are the major trends that are impacting their audiences and their organizations, so that we can start to understand their world, and then what are the micro trends that are impacting their planning and their events. And secondly, we want to follow up with that and have an understanding of how are the success metrics for their events evolving as we look forward. We think there are significant changes in all of those areas that have an impact on the future of the events our clients are going to be doing, and we need to understand that to be better partners. So we're doing original research into these trends. We're then going to crowdsource the prioritization of these trends, both at the macro level and the micro level. And then we're going to be working within our sectors to identify the best strategies for each sector to align to these trends as identified and prioritized by our customers. That way, at the end of the day, we go away with a better understanding of what our customer needs are and some exact strategies that our sectors, as their individual businesses, can take back and talk with their leadership teams about how can we better partner with our clients as they're designing their events of the future, and understand how their success outcome metrics are changing and align with that. And as James said, that now gives us a framework that we can measure over time, that we can understand 6 months from now, a year from now, what are the new trends that are now impacting our clients, and how do we need to adjust our strategies to align with them. So that's what the Kaohsiung Protocol, the outcome of this whole exercise, is going to be about. It's original research, it's crowdsourcing with our members, and it's key business intelligence that you can start using immediately and look forward and start adjusting as you change your business models.
We are almost out of time, but I'll take a nod from everyone. Are we excited about the coming events as we start this road to Kaohsiung? Many thanks to everybody who's taken part today. Karen Yu, JT Long, Cecile Cox, and to those of you who submitted questions as well. It's great to hear some immediate audience response in a virtual world. Thanks also to Ksenia, to Greg, to Ben, and of course to James and Paul Sentle. Above all, thanks to you for joining us, both here today and in taking your first step on the road to Kaohsiung. This studio will be live again on Tuesday, September the 22nd, also on October the 22nd, and the three main Congress days are November the 1st to November the 3rd. After a beyond grim year, no one in the meetings industry could previously have experienced or could possibly have imagined. It will be amazing to gather and stand together, even if we are actually apart. For now, until the next step on this road, welcome, thanks again, and from all of us here, until the next time. Bye-bye.